There's no mistakes. And it's like, if you make mistakes, you have to pay. Most guys that start where I start, and I don't say this in an arrogant thing, I'm not where I am now. It was very discouraging when Sky didn't sign me.
All right, welcome. We're here today with Ellis Zorro, pro boxer. We had you in there before, but yeah, we're gonna go through, a little interview series, first of the series. Mm-hmm. Go from the beginning up until now. Mm-hmm. Just break down the whole career and how you got here today.
So champ, I want to ask you, I want to start off, you know me, loudmouth, Brags in the room. I need to start off with the chat because we go way back. We go from, like, if you don't know, like me, Rims, also Jack. Me and Rims went to the same school as you, Jack. You went to school down the road. We're all close friends. We all grew up together. I first want to ask you, and for the people literally at home, like, what got you first into boxing? Because you was always an athlete from school. You was always doing football, like running, sprints, long distance running. I remember you killing cross country, just like, not from young. He was an athlete. Like, I remember. Yeah. And you've always been a natural athlete, but you took a big swing from going from football, doing running and sprinting to actually getting into boxing. Yeah. How did that actually happen?
I think like in our culture, like when you're young, everyone's kicking ball. Yeah. And from football, I found out I was fast, so I kind of dabbled in athletics and that. But it was more when I was like at uni, like fast forward to when I was at uni. So I'm 18, 19 now. And I'm like thinking about career, and I'm thinking about life, and I'm thinking about like what I'm going to do for a job kind of thing. Because I'm at uni and I'm like going to these, like, where they help you with your CV and these things. And I'm thinking, there's nothing I want to really do. Then I kind of started looking back at sport, and obviously, like a lot of us, like I was only at uni because my mum's pressure, like, go to uni, do your thing, but I had no desire to kind of be there. Anyway, long story, there was a boxing club at Freshers, and what was appealing to me about boxing, or should I say an individual sport, was just like, it's in my control, What
are you saying, you had enough of teammates?
Yeah, but obviously athletics is an individual sport, but it's like there's politics in boxing, which I found out, but at the time there's politics in track and field, and I was just like, if your face don't suit what they want, like, you have to be doing the Mazza, like you have to be doing the Usain Bolt thing to even get a shot. Anyway, so I just thought, like boxing, let me give boxing a go in terms of like see what I can do, and kind of that's how I initially got into it. My story is not like I come from a underprivileged place and fighting was my way out. That's not my story. That's not my narrative. I didn't have like any more anger issues than anybody like in this room, if that makes sense. Like we all from South London, so certain things go on.
We've all got ADHD.
I weren't like do you know what I mean? I wasn't like a super aggressive guy, or I wasn't like a super fighter in school or anything like that. I was never like bullied and then, I want to learn that. That wasn't me. Do you know what I mean? I was actually like just calm, really. I wasn't really on nothing like that, to be honest. And that's how I initially got into it.
So quickly, what age did that transform? Because again, boxing, did you watch The Tank? Frank. With on
I was triggered by what you said.
On Money. Did you see on Gilly? And it was really good though. It was a good, interesting. They made it interesting. Yeah. But did you see what he was talking about? Frank saying that you haven't been boxing from a little boy, and he made that a big statement, saying your skill levels ain't gonna be there. You should have waited, little boy.
Yeah.
I got that same question for you because you're very talented. And what age did you actually kind of get into boxing? And
the first time I ever put on gloves, I was I would have been 20. I was 20. Yeah, I would have been 20. But if you're in boxing or if you've done boxing, a lot of it is about coordination, rhythm, timing, balance, these kind of things. I had played football at an academy level, not super high, but high. I'd done track and field, even the training alone for track and field, you have to hit all them things, balance, coordination, timing. I had good stamina. I had a natural explosiveness, if that makes sense. So when I had come into boxing, all I had to learn was the skills. Some guys don't have the athleticism, and in the sport that you lot cover, I'm sure, like if you have a guy who's just got natural thing, like Francis, he can You could just build on what he's already got. Some man haven't got the skill and they ain't got the physical attributes.
So to add to that then, because like you said in MMA, which we're more, we know more about, but would you say, because they say you have like athletes and then you have people who are like just fighters and then you have people who are like artists in a way. So like when they say artists, they mean like they're really good at like technique and all that kind of stuff. And then fighters, it's just people who are just willing to dog it out. And then being an athlete, it's just things such as obviously you're just athletic. You just have athletic abilities. Yeah. So do you feel like you fall under a specific category in that for you to get into boxing so easily?
I would say at
a late age.
I feel like the thing that I took was like just the athleticism. That doesn't mean that I've had the success I've had because of my athleticism, but I'm saying that's what allowed me to transition quite quickly. That's how it started. It's a very loaded question because I feel like most times mentality comes into it, and you got to play to your attributes. Like Amir Khan, just naturally very, very fast. Maybe he hasn't got the strongest of chins, and he probably found that out quite early in his career. So it's like he's gonna make his style based on what he's good at and what he's not good at. If I'm the fastest, why am I gonna stand there to be hit if I got the fastest hands and the fastest feet? So then the fighters that you say, some of them, not all of them, but some of them, it's a cultural thing. Like the Mexicans, like they don't take steps back. Like it's generally frowned upon if they're not in like scraps kind of thing.
Fight.
So it's a mentality thing as well. Depends on your personality and your character. Like if I was boxing when I was like, obviously I went through a stage in my life where I wasn't maybe as calm as I was now. If I was boxing then, my style and everything would be different, if that makes sense. But I've already come in as a matured adult, if that makes sense. Not like a teenager trying to prove a point or who's struggling with certain things outside the ring, if that makes sense.
Just to touch on that, obviously you've had a lot of success in the time you've been boxing. Do you wish you had started sooner?
Good question.
You know what? The opportunity wasn't really presented to me. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't that, bro. I was never around boxing prior to being 20 years old.
Do you think you think you have more success if you started younger?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
But do you not think that sometimes people get into things at the right time? Do you not? No.
Yeah, that's a different. What you're posing is a different question, like in terms of timing and like purpose and these things. It's a different door you're opening. But would I have been better if I practiced my skills from earlier in life with the same seriousness that I started? Yeah, for sure. But I feel like, I know you're not asking this, but what made me go so hard, at least very early, was that I did feel I was doing the catch up thing. Do you know what I mean? And that did help me to kind of, I've got to do more. I've never had like a complacent attitude, if that makes sense. So yeah.
No, that makes sense. Also, I got to ask you then, getting into your first fight, 2017, first bout.
Yeah.
York Hall, Bethnal Green. You know the famous York Hall. It's got a name for itself. How did you feel walking in there against your first opponent? Is it Jerry?
We just call him. So out and out journeyman at the time, but like I had only had 3 amateur fights. One of them was like a university bout,
right?
So like it weren't really a serious, but it's registered, as an amateur bout. So what helped me with my pro debut was that I had a lot of I was very naive. Like I didn't have, I was innocent in that sense. Like I hadn't been exposed to loads of gyms, hadn't been exposed to like really difficult sparring. So like because of my innocence, I was protected from the reality of certain things. So I just went in there and kind of did what my coach was saying, if that makes sense. I don't really know how to feel, if I'm honest. Like I was just like, I had no pressure though, because I was like, if I lose, like I'm not even pursuing this, but like I'll just leave the boxing thing. I'll just go back to work. I think prior to that, that's December. Yeah,
that's correct.
In August, I had meniscus. I tore my lateral meniscus. I had surgery from August, and I didn't start training until the end of December, start of November. Then I went Camberwell, and I was like, I'm gonna drive the buses. Yeah. So I did my bus thing, and I passed my test, and this is November, and I'm fighting in December.
Just for clarity,
Respect to all the bus drivers out there as well, because we're not laughing at the bus drivers.
No,
Okay.
no, I'm laughing because God forbid they put Ellis in control of these buses. What? Oh
When someone don't want to pay their fare.
No, not that, bro. We would have run them over before that, fam, before they got in the bus, bro.
So you know it was them. That job there is like shift work. But
Okay,
they give you your shifts for 12 months. So imagine just a long spreadsheet, and I can see when I'm in. And I was just like, yeah, long.
Yeah,
No.
okay.
So I'd pass, but I just said, let me do the boxing thing just quickly. So if the boxing thing failed, I just would have gone back to the bus thing, or when I was working in HR prior to the bus thing. So I didn't have that kind of pressure. I didn't, like, bro, I had no fans and stuff like this, so there was no pressure. Like, I weren't expected to really be there. I wasn't being taken seriously by my promoter because of my lack of amateur experience.
Yeah, I was about to say,
if that makes sense. I was just an experience, bro. But that's one of my best performances. Yeah,
yes.
One of my best performances still. Even though it was against a journeyman, just like the way I boxed, discipline, and we might get onto this, but like I didn't have the pressure. I don't want to say I get pressured now, but like social media, interviews, are you going to knock out this guy? I didn't have that. I was just like, I'm just going to go in there and kind of box, do what my coach says. No one expected me to do anything, not to knock anybody out or whatever. Like, it was just go in there and do whatever. So that's what I did. I had no pressure, and I was boxing the way I wanted to box. Since then, and since fighting on TV, it's different. Do you know what I mean?
So just before I move on, one of these guys can move. I just want to ask you one more question, and that question is: when did you feel that pressure then? Because obviously you started climbing up. Obviously, every fight you end up having after that becomes more and more serious, and you get more and more eyes.
Got to like,
do you remember the fighter you fought?
9-0. I fought Ozzy Jervier.
Okay, Ozzy Jervier.
The first time I fought him.
Yep, makes sense.
And he was like a former Southern Area challenger.
Okay.
So he'd fought for the Southern Area championship, and at that time I was thinking, right, if I can get to Southern Area title, I'll just retire. That was my vibe. Because I'm kind of old, bro, at this time.
Yeah, I hate
you know
you.
what I mean?
I
Like,
hate
man's
you.
25. I thought like,
Okay.
let me just like give this a go. I turned 25 in October. I fought in December. I was like, let me just give this a go. If I can get Southern Area level, at least man's got a little belt that's done a little sign. And he was, like I said, former Southern Area challenger, and that was probably my first one where if I beat him, it was like I can potentially
keep
feel
going.
me.
Keep
it's
going.
like if I can stop him, and I dropped him twice in that fight, and then I stopped him in the rematch. But probably that fight was where I fought the pressure. People started to talk my name a little bit like that.
First or second fight was more.
First fight.
Yeah. Okay, just for the people at home.
Yeah.
It's interesting because obviously you look through your career, the names in your career, and I know that you're not gonna admit it, but you've had it difficult in terms of like promoters, particularly.
Yeah.
Maybe not been well managed or well looked after in that capacity, and obviously then you end up getting the opportunity of a lifetime almost with the Boxer, which then you grab with both hands. Talk us through the Boxer and how that all came about.
So going into the Boxer, we're on the back of COVID now. So COVID's just finished and they've opened up sporting events. So I'm 11-0. I've got 11 fights. I've got 6 knockouts.
And during COVID, you're training like a madman.
Yeah, I'm just training. So I'm 11-0 with 6 knockouts. So my record in my division, which is the cruiserweight division, it's not the same as like the middleweight division where you have Billy Joe Saunders, Chris Eubank Jr. on a domestic level, or the welterweights where you've got like some of the best in the world that are in the country, or some of the most popular names like Conor Benn or whatever. 11-0 at the time. I think Lawrence Okoli was only like 14-0 at the time.
Yeah, that's correct.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So it was like, it was a record worth, not just a record, but it was a position worth holding on to. The difficulty with a boxer is that like it's names in a hat. I think there's 8 fighters. You don't know who you're gonna fight. 3 fights in one night. They're 3 rounds, so it's back to like an amateur style kind of thing. You don't know who's entering either, bro. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was like, do I want to enter and potentially lose? And not even like lose a fight, but anyone can lose a 3-round fight.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you lose the first round and then you draw the second one, fam, it's tight. Like, and that can happen against anyone in this room, bro.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You gotta go get that knockdown in the third now.
You gotta go with
yeah.
assert your dominance, bro. So,
yeah.
But again, I can't remember how old I was, but I'm pushing it, bro. No, I'm 29. 29 at the time.
This was recent, bro.
Yeah, I'm 29 at the time, and I'm thinking like, what else am I gonna do? Like, there's no other route. I'm not signed with anyone on a TV thing. I'm not getting any kind of serious bread now. I'm still doing like personal training and stuff like this.
You just had one fight on at the time BT.
Yeah, I got $5,000.
That was the one fight.
But that was because someone had COVID.
Okay.
I wasn't getting pushed.
Yeah.
With all respect to who I'm with, like I wasn't getting pushed. It was just someone in my camp who's with Queensbury got COVID and I was just ready because, like you said, I was training all throughout.
Always be ready.
I was just ready. So like,
always be ready.
I just took the thing. I stopped the guy in the second round, but like it was a guy that really at 10-0 I was meant to stop him. Anyway, fast forward, took the opportunity to go into Boxer because they reached out. You know what? All of them and them. I don't know if any of you might have did it, but when the Boxer said, what cruiserweight should we have in the thing? And they did like a poll on social media.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone was adding me and everyone was like atting me and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So, and I think off the back of that, like that's when they reached out to my manager. Long story short, I entered, I won all the fights. I won all the 3 fights. I beat 2 undefeated fighters.
What's crazy is you was 11-0. You had the best record out of the fighters that were there.
Yeah.
But I don't even think that's
questionable. Yeah.
But you weren't the favourite.
No, I wasn't the favourite.
You weren't the favourite. I don't think you was.
There was
second
boys. There was 2 boys who. There was Johnny Nelson's boy who was less experienced than me, but he was Johnny Nelson's boy.
There you go.
Oh, they were rating him, bro.
And then there was Jamie Smith, who I beat in the semi-final. And Jamie Smith, like he was like backed by David Hay and Dylan White. He was he didn't represent Great Britain or anything at the Olympics, but he represented like England, which is kind of like, you know, back in the day you kick ball and it's kind of like your district. Yeah. Like it was that kind of thing.
So it's a big thing to play for.
No, for sure.
He was on his way to get represented by.
And he was a problem still. Like, he was a problem still. So once I beat him in the semi-final, it was like, you know, I've shown that this amateur record thing, because that was 3 rounds. You know, I beat him over 3 rounds. I won every single round on all the judges' scorecards. Not really even close, with all respect, even though he was a problem. I was just on my A game that night. And then, I won the final. And then, all the doors kind of started opening because that was on Sky Sports. That was the first time I'd been on Sky Sports.
But you say all the doors open, there's a door that got slammed straight shut in your face.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And thankfully, because everything's worked out now. But
for sure.
Talk about that, because obviously you win the Boxer, you are told that you're guaranteed a contract. All the men are gassed.
Yeah.
And then obviously like a couple weeks later.
We were so gassed. You was there that day.
Super hyped. But then a couple weeks later.
But before you answer that question, I want to blend this question in with it, because I think that's a good point. I think what you're making, but the point I want you to blend in, how hard is it to promote yourself before really getting promoted for the up and coming young boxers out there? For some of them, like, because sometimes I'm hearing that you've got to pay for your own you'll end up spending more money prior when you're still a professional boxer, even at the low end, but you have to fund more. How is that blending into now when you get promoted off the back end of that?
So I'll answer that and then I'll go into that. So basically, for guys that don't know, what's referred to as small hall boxing in boxing is where there's no TV deal, there's no one backing, there's no financial backing. So like, I'll just give you the breakdown. I would be given 100 tickets. The first 66 tickets are £40. If I sell them, I don't get any of that. I think 1,100 goes to the promoter and 1,100 goes to the journeyman. I get the rest. Basically. Well, the rest between 60 and 100. If I sell 100 tickets, I split 50-50 with my promoter, because that's his cut. Because that first 1,100 that I give him is for the ambulance, the venue, the lights, the cameras. You understand?
Yeah, of course.
So I think my first fight I sold like 117, but again I was still working at the time. I was doing nights, I was cleaning at the time, and then my second job I was working nights in Sainsbury's, and I was a graduate, bro. Like I had come from working in HR. I was on like 24 and a half, which was good at the time for my age, you know. And then I've kind of, the boxing required as much as it does now, even to fight at a lower level. So I can't really be messing around with jobs if I want to take it serious, considering I'm starting when I'm 21 years old. So it's difficult. There's been times where I haven't sold enough tickets to pay both my promoter and my thing. So I've had to take money out of my own pocket to give to my manager just to kind of bridge the gap, and I've ended up fighting for free. But it's like, you know, you can't be like nearsighted in this game. Again, it's a benefit that I had like gone through life, and I was, you know, by the time I turned pro I was 25. I wasn't, not want to say unwise, but I wasn't as immature as I was 10 years earlier.
Of course.
If I was 15 I would have been, bun this. If I was 18 I would have been like, bun this. I'm getting parred. But it's like, I see the journey. Do you know what I mean? It's just a journey. Like everyone's got their journey, everyone's gone through certain things. It's not a sport where you can like, people ain't gonna feel sorry for you kind of thing, you understand? So I weren't fighting for any money until like my 10th fight. I fought for like $5,000, which was a big thing at the time, to get $5,000 in one night like that. Then the Boxer was like 40 grand, and it's just gone up and up. But
so how does that
it was very discouraging
question?
When Sky didn't sign me, and this is something that like to this day, not the Sky thing, but just the whole boxing thing, it's like it wasn't always televised or like very public, but like because it was small hall boxing. But like I've been getting not parred, but like, do you know what I mean? And again,
Overlooked.
I know, overlooked, and I wanted to fight for the.
Do you feel them not signing you was because one, you wasn't the favourite that they wanted to win, and two, they felt you probably didn't suit the narrative that they was trying to push?
I think it was like the narrative, and I think it was like just the fact that I had quite a lot of fights. I was now 14-0 coming out of the boxer. They already had my guy Richard Riakpo, who was like 14-0 as well, although a championship level fighter, if that makes sense. How are they going to justify signing both of us? They probably wanted to sign one of the GB boys who had, you know, the backing, or Sheldon McDonald, who was Johnny Nelson's guy. That would have been like, he would have been 4-0 or 5-0, so they can build him gradually, because it's a 6-fight deal, bro. How are you going to give a cruiserweight at 14-0
6-fight deal?
6-fight deal. When the man the world champions, Lawrence Okoli, 16-0 at the time. Richard Riakpo wasn't a world champion at the time, but 14-0. Chris Smith, I think he had one less fight than me. If you give me a 6-fight deal, the numbers are mad. The potential numbers are mad, you know. So they didn't sign me, but I just felt like that's another time I've been kicked down. I wanted to, when I fought on BT, I was like, I got, which was the fight before the boxer, stay with me. I was like, I got a second round knockout. Like, are they going to sign me? Didn't get signed. Don't know what I'm doing. Steve, my first manager, on Goodwin Boxing, I wanted to fight for the Southern area when I was like 5-0. Oh, you're not ready, you lack of experience. I'm like, bro, you're not even pushing, man. Yeah. If you look at man's box rec, anyway, you can click on the box rec and see who I've just fought. You can see who they just fought if you look at the dates. Some of them guys, the guy I fought, he had my debut, he had fought Wadi Camacho, which was a Southern area champion, 2 fights prior or 3 fights prior. And you're putting me in with him for my debut, my 4th ever fight. And these things are not really getting acknowledged, not really getting pushed.
No, it doesn't.
But I don't want to speak up anyway. Yeah, it is what it is. So it's very discouraging, because it wasn't the first time I had been kicked in the teeth. I'd had trainers that didn't want to train me. I've had managers that didn't want to manage me. Do you know what I mean? Who were like shutting the door in my face. I'm like, look, give me a trial. Just let me come and train in your gym. Now, not in a thing way, but I can go to any gym in the country.
That always happens though. That's his way of life.
So now when I don't like no one in boxing, or when I don't want to do interviews, or I don't want to shake anyone's hand and stuff, it's because like I feel like I know I've been exposed to it. Do you know what I mean? I know it's a joke thing. I know it's a games.
Is it also though? You feel like the promotion is a bit embarrassed that they didn't pick you up early? I think some of these promotions. Do you feel like it's almost like, because they're all competing against each other? From Boxer to Queensberry to Eddie Hearn's to Matchroom.
If Sky signed him, they have one of the coldest Super Sixes that they could do.
You're 100% right.
Because you know, after they didn't sign me, and one thing I'm gonna say about Sky, they've got some really good cruiserweights. They got some of the best.
This is what
they got. Richard, they got Vidal Riley, they got Scott Forrest, they got
Dan,
Chris Smith. No,
he's light heavyweight. What's his name?
So you got them 5. You got Isaac.
That's what I'm gonna say. Isaac.
But my point is that we could all been on that platform. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, at least some of them names, man's there. Do you know what I mean? Like, I understand not Lawrence Okoli, not Chris Smith, because they're world champions, especially at the time. But if you look where I am now, I can definitely be mixing with these guys. My profile just isn't as but I think like my profile has never been that. Do you know what I mean? And just going back to how my experience in boxing was, from the get-go, I just think I was always gonna have a profile like I have now, because I've always had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, should I say, where I've like not really enjoyed certain things that I've gone in the game.
Again, I think that's you coming in late to the sport. I think people I think in boxing and in especially like you said earlier, a good point you made, individual sports. It's a different discipline that you got to have. It's a different mindset. I sit there and say this to Lanks all the time, that teaches kids football, and he's one of the best coaches in the country. And I say to him, that's a team sport, but if one of the guys, your right back, don't turn up today, he gets covered by another 10 guys on the field. Sometimes it's not as seen for a guy that does an individual sport that has no excuses when they do not turn up and get the job done. There's no. I said again, another fact you might not know. We was talking to UFC, Benoit Saint Denis, when we was talking about he had staff. Like you can get staff before your fights and all of that. No one's gonna hear you're injured or you've had a problem. No one cares. No, it's an individual sport where in team sport, it can get covered up a little bit. Do you feel like that kind of that individual, you coming in late, you was your own individual, you're from South London, it's a bit got no one really backing you with a proper name behind you, and you have to find that yourself. Do you think that's a bit of a reason as well? Like,
it just, all of that sent me, like, I'll be honest, there's people in, like, I'm not dodging the question, but there's people like I have a very similar story to, but because of how they've been backed or pushed or their story's been put in your face, people are like, oh yeah, this, that. I'm like, bro, man's got the same story as him. If anything, worse. Or most worse. Most guys that start where I start, and I don't say this in an arrogant thing, I'm not where I am now. Like, you don't know who they are.
Nowhere near.
They're rather like gone back to work, retired, or like still at the grassroots level. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying no one really in boxing currently really has my... Okay, let's take one who had no amateur fights, but set 11 white collar fights. White collar and amateur, they're not that much different. Fabio Wardley. But when Fabio Wardley turned pro, he's under Dylan White. ASAP.
He already has the stamp.
When Anthony Yard turned pro, 12 amateur fights, and I went to watch Anthony Yard in, I think, his last amateur fights at the Haringey Boxer. He was a problem.
He
was a problem as an amateur. Still is.
Still a great fighter,
but he was a problem. He was 12-0. But again, he signed with Frank and he signed with Tunde. Tunde has worked with Derek Chisora under Don Charles. Well, like, very experienced. Do you know what I mean? So like, even though these other guys that have had no amateur experience or not much amateur experience, if you look at the footing that they got straight away, they're right in there. Bro, if I had 3 amateur fights and then I went and got trained by Roy Jones Jr. and I had that whole thing, the push would have been mad. So sometimes, and somebody, not them two in particular, but like sometimes the platforms will, Fabio only had 11 fights, and I'm like, it's the narrative that gets pushed. Fam, boxing is narrative. 100%. Boxing is just narrative. All this about upset, more time it's not even upset, it's just narrative that's being created, or underdog, it's just narratives that have been created. So it's like, for me, I despise a lot of that, if that makes sense, because of like my journey. And again, it's not a feel sorry for me thing. I shouldn't have the chip on my shoulder like I do, but it's like, it's my journey, bro. Do you know what I mean? And it will continue to be my journey. Do you know what I mean? And it's just one of them things.
No, I respect it.
You kind of touched on it earlier, talking about your trainers, where you've been training. So obviously you're at Peacocks now, right?
Yeah.
Prior to that, I was
with Mickey Burke.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So what was the transition of you going from Mickey to Peacocks?
So when I was with Mickey was a trainer, but he was just a trainer, not a manager. Managers are the ones who are connected with promotional companies, who are connected with TV, which is where you want to kind of be. Martin Bowers, who runs the Peacock, is a trainer and a manager, who is one of the managers that has fighters that represent Queensbury Boxing, BT/TNT. So as good as Mickey was, and as good as my relationship was with Mick, it's like I needed to get a breakthrough. I needed a new manager. If I go with Martin and he manages me, it makes sense that he trains me as well, so that he can navigate my career. He can see, we should fight him with him because I've seen him in the gym. He looks like X, he looks like Y. So that was a difficult decision, because prior to Mickey Burke, I didn't really have any coach, like set in stone coach, if that makes sense. Like, I think for one of my fights, Josh, who we all know,
of course,
Josh, of course, he worked in my corner. Josh has no more experience than any of you.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? But I showed him how to hold the pads, and he'd warm me up, and that's what I was doing for my first few fights. And that's when I was like, that's sometimes where the chip on the shoulder has come, because it's like, how can man not have a trainer?
I'm working with the man them in the ends that we're all just have no experience.
You cool.
Like,
how can no one not want to train, man, bro? And it's not even that I'm dead.
No,
because if I'm dead, but and I'm not saying I'm sick, but at the time, I was good enough to have a trainer, bro.
Give me
some
an
of these
opportunity.
other guys don't have trainers. Sorry, some of these other guys have trainers, and like they're not. No disrespect, they ain't better than me, or they ain't showing no prospect than me. So it's like, I remember them days. You feel me? So when I got with Mickey, and I had Mickey for five fights, but that was during lockdown. So I had 2 years of Mick and 5 fights. So it was a long period of time that I was with him. yeah, it was difficult to leave him, but it was like one of them decisions that I had to make because I couldn't sign to be with Martin and be out of sight, out of mind. Him manage me, but not see me train. So, and the Peacock name is kind of more renowned in the country. Like Dubois was over there and stuff like this. So Denzel Bentley and all these people have been over there. So it helped me to, when someone did get sick at COVID, if I went in the Peacock gym, I probably wouldn't have been able to fill in that show. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, that was a difficult decision, but it's proved to be one of the best ones.
I want to ask you quickly, Mr. Burton.
Yeah.
York Hall.
Yeah.
You fought him. I believe, and this is my personal opinion from following your career, I thought that was a big life-changing moment for you. In the sense of who you was fighting, what you got out of it, and the way the fight happened. Yeah. The way the fight happened, the way you finished it, the way you gritted through that fight. You had to bite down on your mouth guard certain times, fight through it. You showed that you had a passion, heart, willingness to actually get the job done and to knock your opponent out. And then the craziness all after the fight, everything, it all kicked off in York Hall. For people that don't know, it's like literally it was like Zorro's side versus Burton's side, and chairs were throwing, everyone was going mad. But I felt like you got a lot of coverage from that, and I felt like there was a lot at stake from that fight. What do you feel? How do you feel from that fight onwards? Like your career's gone from that point?
So quickly, just to rewind to the Boxer. The Boxer was a good big opportunity because there was a lot of money and it was on Sky Sports. But in terms of who was actually in the thing, no one was like nowhere near as known as Hosea Burton. Hosea Burton has been topped by some of the big names, Carl Frampton, all these other guys, to be like a world champion. Been to, he's mixed with names like Joshua Boazzi, Anthony Yard, these kind of guys. He was former British champion. He was the most known opponent that I've fought. His profile was there. That was main event at York Hall. So again, it's like all the eyes, bro. You know what I mean? So, and he was saying like, if you can't beat me, he's gonna retire. Now, the reason he's saying that is because it's like he's an England boy. He's been boxing his whole life. He's a traveller. He's been boxing since he was young. If he can't beat, do you feel me? Someone like me, then it's like, and he weren't saying my record was built up, but he's on the thing of like, 3 of my fights, in one night kind of thing. So yeah, that was a good opportunity for me to show that I belong there. Yeah, of course. I belong at least at that level. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And sometimes things in yourself, but it's not until you do it that you realize, alright, cool. Do you know what I mean? Like how you would be in a confrontation, but until it happens, then you actually know it from experience. Of course. So to be main event and cameras and the lights and all that, and to be, I don't think in that fight, prior to that fight, I'd really lost many rounds. Dex Spellman gave me a really hard fight. But I was winning the fight. Do you know what I mean? With Hosea, it was like 1 round to me, 1 round to him. It was round
close.
To me, then like 3 rounds to him. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, and even the rounds that he was winning, it was very close kind of thing. So like, it was a great fight. I definitely weren't dominating, if that makes sense.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. For sure.
Get to the point
to come out and do that. And win the W. I knocked him out in the 7th round, and then I come out and had the WBO European. I feel like that put a little bit more respect on my name, and I think. Shout out to Dan Aziz. I think when Dan Aziz beat Burton, I think he did a very similar thing for him. He beat Burton for the British title. I think he did a very similar thing because it was like one of the first guys that he beat where it's like, all right, cool. He's at that level. Do you know what I mean? He had beat Andre Sterling as well for the English, but like the Hosea Burton thing was a next one for him. Similar story to mine. Like Dan weren't really meant to win that fight. He was the underdog, started a bit later and whatnot. So yeah, the Hosea Burton thing really kind of put me up there, and really put me up there. Winning that title really put me where I am today still.
No, it makes sense. Question I want to ask you is, what do you feel has been some of your toughest fights so far in your career? Because obviously fight before the Burton one was the Dex Spellman one, and I felt for that one, obviously I was there. I thought you had to dig deep for that one still. So
that's been, even despite my loss to Opetaia, which we'll talk about, like that's been my hardest fight, the Dex Spellman fight. I think the timing was a little bit. I want to say the timing, like it's not an excuse, but I had eaten as if I was fighting like 90 minutes earlier. But once I had my gloves on and things were taking long, it's like I got my gloves on, bro. So I've gone into the ring and I remember stepping up the stairs the ring to get, and you know, you got that feeling when you're a bit lethargic, a bit tired. Like I could feel I was a bit hungry, and I was like, oh shoot, like this is gonna be a long. This is gonna be a long night.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did my thing. I was boxing smart. I put him down in the 4th. I tried to get rid of him, and when I say I try to get rid of him,
Energy.
I used all my energy.
Yeah.
The 5th, it was kind of like not much happened because I knocked him down in the 4th. Then in the 6th, he was just on me.
Yeah, the research.
Yeah,
the
he was
research.
on me. He was on me still,
Yeah.
and he's the one that bust my nose the first time it's ever been bust. Tough fight, but again, I had that grit anyway that was already there. And sometimes, you know, these boxing people, like, I think they think you ain't got grit because of how you articulate yourself or how you come across, how you dress, and da. But this is boxing, bro. Like, don't matter how you talk, how you come across. What matters is what goes on when you're in there. Do you know what I mean? So like, I proved again that I could like take it and come back. Because there was parts in that fight where in the 7th round, it was just very difficult. It's hot in York Hall. Like, Dex just on me, like he's hurt me, like
proper,
I'm on the ropes. Do you know what I mean? So that was a tough fight, and I come through that. But again, just more experience, and this is the experience that I didn't get as an amateur. Because trust me, I never used to rate the experience thing, but now that I'm getting experience and I'm doing certain things, I'm like, the experience thing, like it helps if you take it in the right way and you learn from it, and then you adjust your training camps going forward based on what you've learned. Then the experience works. If you're just like going through stuff and experiencing things in life but not actually learning and adapting from it and taking things, then
I think the key thing to that is life, bro. I think we all learn in life through experience. I don't think like the key thing you said is about having the overstanding about taking it and
consciously
do it,
not just that subconsciously.
I think we all learn just by being better adults, better people as you get older, picking right from wrong.
You know what? You spoke about the Hosea thing. Coming off the deck fight, when my nose was bleeding in the Hosea thing, and he had hit me, and he didn't really rock me like Deck did, but he had hit me and hurt me or whatever. It felt a lot calmer than
experience.
The deck thing, because I've been there,
experience.
Because of how I felt going into the deck thing on an energy level. I had a lot of energy in the Hosea fight, because to carry knockout power into the second half of the fight when you're kind of down on the points and you're bleeding, it's not an easy thing to do. So like that was my training, my conditioning.
Yeah, there were a few changes that you made for that camp.
Exactly. Because you was about that experience on the deck fight really helped me to kind of, you know, conduct myself the way I did against Hosea. And then I'm 16-0, WBO European champion. Then I had one defense against Ortenzi. That was another tough fight. Them fights are the hard ones because
unknown, brother.
Yeah, he's unknown, former heavyweight, but like he has had losses. He's had 3 losses. Can't remember how many wins, but more wins than me at the time. 20 something. Yeah, it was definitely in the 20s. That fight was tough because it was just like, it was almost hard to get up for off the back of the Hosea thing, where the Hosea thing had a lot more, like you say, his fans, my fans. With Ortenzi's from Italy, he didn't have no fans over there. So York Hall, it was just my people more time. Everyone's just expecting me to blow him away because I just blew away an X-Man. And it's like, that was pressure, bro. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't lie. Because I kind of knew that this guy's not going to be easy to get rid of. Like, if he goes, it's not going to be easy. So that was a tough fight. And sometimes it's weird in boxing, like, because it was like an anti-climax, I feel like, and people were saying it wasn't a great performance by me, kind of thing. But it was like, I don't know, like, it wasn't as good, but like, it just, because people didn't know who he was. Do you know what I mean? Like, if people knew who he was, because bro, there's other cruiserweights that I can call out that he would give a very tough.
You know what is though, sometimes before you go, it's expectations.
Yeah, of course.
So when someone sees a great fight from before, we live in a world now where people don't think like kind of long term, it's all short term. I saw what I saw last time, and I'm expecting it this time. And we sometimes we do it even in the Kombat Cave when we're watching UFC fights. We're like, oh, we just see him, and he gets smoked, and then you're like, whoa.
And I just want to say,
go ahead.
I'm starting to accept that.
Yeah, fans. The fans fickle.
But not just fickle, because it's like, I created that expectation. I'm the one who did the thing on Hosea. What was not annoying, because it's not annoying, but what was difficult to reconcile was just the fact that, why don't people go and do their knowledge on my man? Everyone's done the research on me. Because
you're the man.
But
because you're the man. You're the one.
So
you're the man.
It's a good thing for me to be the man, but like, did have a little bit of pressure because I knew it wasn't going to be an easy fight, bro. And that fight was similar to the deck fight in ways, you know.
Yeah.
I had a little injury going into that one, but like that was similar to the deck fight, bro. It was hard, but like because of my experience in the deck fight and my experience in the Hosea fight, when I was hurt, I knew how to like mask it and kind of steal around and whatnot. But no, just more experience, bro. Like we're still less than 20 fights in my whole life, bro.
Crazy.
Do you know what I mean? At the time, at the time. Do you know what I mean? So it was like that was my 20th fight. So I'm, and I'm headlining at York Hall. So no, I'm proud of like what I did that day and where I am still.
Okay. So on the back of that, you then asked for Saudi post fight. You weren't sure how it was gonna go down. Then talk us through you getting the call for Saudi.
So I asked for Saudi. I just wanted to be out of York Hall because obviously I had a lot of fights at York Hall when I was on small hall shows, and then most of my TV fights have also been at York Hall. And the financial thing at York Hall is capped.
Of course, yeah, it would be. It's York Hall.
Because it holds like 1,200 people.
1,200 people.
So I was like, oh, like, even Copper Box would be a shout, but you got to say what you got. And he's the one, Jack's the one that actually said, say the Saudi thing.
Great friends. Shout out to you.
Saudi, like, there's no one to fight in Saudi.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, everyone for me to fight is rather domestically, the other cruiserweights in the country. Yeah. I'm not even thinking, bro. I'm not even knowing what's going on with Opetaia and Breeders and Riakpur and the world champions.
You're saying everyone's ducking him.
Well, I didn't know at the time, is what I'm saying.
Those are my words.
But that was the situation, apparently, So yeah, I got the phone call for Saudi. I was like, oh, Saudi. Oh, sick, yeah, I'm there. I said, how much? He told me how much. I said, yeah, man. I said, yeah. I said, who? He said, oh, Jai Opetaia. I was like, oh, shoot. I was like, cool. There,
Respect it.
That's kind of been my my outlook. Similar with the Boxer. Like, it's not a fear thing, but when I heard Jamie Smith was in the Boxer, when I heard Sheldon was in the Boxer, when I heard Anis Taj was in the Boxer, like a similar response. I was like, problems.
Some guys in there.
Yeah, slightly like problems. My thing with Opetaia was that, like, I can say this, yeah. My thing with Opetaia was that he was a southpaw, so he had nothing that I'd ever seen before, if that makes sense.
Oh, it does make sense.
And I went through like an initial couple days of like having to, like, even though I had said yes and agreed the contract or whatever, I think like 3 days where I was like, how am I actually gonna go about doing this, if that makes sense. Then I started to actually grow in confidence the more I watched him, the more I watched myself, because Opetaia is like if you know what you're looking at, he's a boxer. He's just an aggressive boxer.
Aggressive, yeah.
He's not like a Ricky Hatton, Mike Tyson. He's not a fighter. He's a boxer. He's clever. But I'm also a boxer. He's not like Dex Spellman, who's a fighter. He's a boxer.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, our styles are gonna merge nice together. I carried that quite a lot of confidence as I was getting closer and closer and closer. My training was going well. I didn't have a whole heap of sparring because I was coming off the back of a nose surgery, which I wasn't allowed to spar. And it's not an excuse. Like, Opetaia beat me fair and square, bro. But like, I wasn't allowed to spar until my nose got cleared by the board. Went over there, and again, like, because I got stopped in the first round. But the experience that I took was at the press conference, the weigh-in, the cameras, like being a massive underdog. I don't think I'd been such a massive underdog like that, if that makes sense. I've been an underdog.
A few fights, the Hosea Burton fight.
Yeah. But like that.
That's levels to that.
And I think it was the first time where it's like, because of the eyes that was on the show, the Day of Reckoning was a massive card, AJ Wilder, all this. It's like, there was a lot of like comments on YouTube. So like, it was just more out there for people to see. Yeah. Same as my debut. But at my debut, it was just people in York Hall that didn't know what they were gonna or else can fight. Like, didn't know else. Even the man in this room, bro.
Facts, not fiction.
Like, you like, can
Els fight? Yeah, because it's late, I've never seen it. Yeah.
Same when Andre Sterling like turned pro, or he's fighting. You know what I'm going with Andre. You know from outside, if you know, well, you know.
Of course, that's the all the time.
With Els, you're like,
Sterling's serious, bro.
But with Els, you're like, Els, like, not even sure, like, man's having to persuade people as
Jovan?
No.
Jovan Palmer. He used to be ex-boxer. He's done small halls.
Oh, Jovan.
Yeah, Jovan. Yeah, he done. That's him the other day.
So it's like, I'm still persuading people that man can go up to like my 10th fight kind of. Anyway. Yeah. So yeah, we got out there. The experience was good or whatever. More like, closer and closer to the fight, like I knew that Opetaia was like a boxing man, because even when I was deep in his interviews, he was like, I don't want to say he was giving me credit, but like he weren't knocking me or shunning me. He was like, he knew what he was looking at, if that makes sense. He was calling out my counter punching, my movement, my power, whatever, the fact that I can box or whatever. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, and when I got in there, because I'd been at York Hall is very like intimate.
Very.
It's quite not intimidating, but it's much more intimidating. When I got into the big stadium in Saudi and it was quite empty, it was kind of like, this is calm. This is actually a lot calmer than York Hall. There was hardly anybody there. Fight got going, and bro, like, it's mad. I felt I was very much in the fight. But this is the thing, it's the first round. Many great fighters have lost the first round. So I'm not trying to go on the first round and say, oh, man belongs in there, if that makes sense. But yeah, walked onto a shot, got knocked out, KO'd in the first round. And I think the most difficult thing for me to deal with was that, like, two things actually. It was an anticlimax because I never got a chance to prove I can fight.
You kind of just started.
At that tail
But this
level.
is world level. This is world level.
Well,
boxing,
it's about
bro.
such world now. We're not.
There's no like
shame.
There's no
no?
shame, but there's like no mistakes, bro.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? There's no mistakes,
yeah.
and it's like if you make mistakes, you have to pay. And again, going back to the experience thing, I knew that from watching boxing. I knew that from being in boxing, but like now I know it, like I know it, bro, because man's been in there, and it's like you cannot make mistakes
At this level
and at this weight, kind of thing, you know. And what was interesting, and I'll keep going, it will come out, yeah. What was interesting was that, like, Opetaia, what makes me rate him was that he saw the mistake and he took quite a chance.
He did
to go for it.
Oh, he did.
Because bro, it's like
see it. Yeah,
I've seen people make mistakes. The Hosea Burton fight, everyone was calling for the right hand from the first round. It's not like I didn't see it. It's not like Hosea didn't see it. But it's like I didn't have, I'm gonna call it the braziness to go for that shot, to commit
at that time,
to commit to that shot. When Opetaia dipped, I said, "Oh my days, this guy's gonna throw that shot." And it was
you
like,
see it. You see it.
It was like
You
it
knew
was
it.
done. If
Yeah,
that makes sense,
you knew
know?
it. Yeah.
I think what was jarring was that, like, as I'm walking, into the shot. Do you understand? So like I'm walking into 200 pounds of his thing, and I'm walking into 200 pounds. I weigh 200 pounds. So the weight is just like it's a perfect volley shot, bro, on man's chin. If I was just gliding the other way, just
take some of it off. Just
would have been
what Floyd does when he just
bro.
takes
It just
some of
would have
those
been,
punches
even if
off.
I didn't see it, like it just wouldn't have been as flush, you know.
But before you go, I think is this because you couldn't spar a southpaw?
I don't think so,
But
bro,
hold on,
like-
let me ask you this though: do you spar a lot of southpaws?
No.
So
no,
again,
no.
it's not like you could have set. I'm not saying you have used this as an excuse, because you haven't in this whole time we've been speaking. But do you personally feel if you had a little bit more southpaws in there, your feet? Because when you fight orthodox to southpaw, sometimes your feet.
Yeah, you go with it. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So this is my point. Do you feel like I'm again not making an excuse for you? I'm just saying having a little bit more southpaw. Sparring experience just with lefties that naturally swing
Going back
that
to the
way.
question that he asked me, if I started boxing earlier, would I have been?
You would
back?
have had that.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Okay.
The outcome of the fight might not have changed,
Yeah,
but like I feel like there were so many variables that matched up. He threw that shot. I walked onto that shot. Where I was in the ring, like God knows, if I had just like fell back onto the ropes instead of falling onto the floor like that, bro. Because I feel like part of me, I felt the shot. And I weren't out, and then it's like I hit the floor, and then I was out.
Man,
It's when you hit the floor.
boom.
Do you know what I mean?
No, you
So it's like,
Gonna hit the floor, boom.
and when I've seen certain shots, like I looked at the Wilder shot versus Tyson Fury. It's like just the angle that man's dropped at when Fraser dropped Ali, just the angle that man dropped at. It's like everything not was against me, but again, when you're dealing with the best in the world, this is what can happen, bro. And I'm not gonna take away from him, because if someone tried to take away from some of my knockouts, I was like, no, bro, man set that up, or man did this, or he did the job.
What he saw,
do you know what I mean?
what he was
I
meant
think
to
it
do.
was just jarring, because it's like, one sec, I didn't get to prove at whatever level man's at. I didn't get to prove it that night, and I really wanted to, because it's like throughout the whole build up, everyone was saying da 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 da, and I was like, alright, cool. Just gonna play the same old L's that I play. I'm not gonna say nothing, but when I get in there, I'm gonna do what I did with Hosea and Deck and at the Boxer, and I'm either gonna win or give a hell of an account for myself, because man's not on this quitting thing. But if there's one way I'm gonna lose, I guess it's gonna be like that. Do you know what I mean? I didn't think Opetaia would be able to outbox me like very easily, if I'm honest with you. Just because the styles make fights.
Facts.
You know?
Facts.
Not saying he's not a better boxer than me and he's not got more tools in his thing, because he probably does. But just the style that I could have just sat back with slightly longer arms. I'm not a big, slow cruiserweight. He's not a big, slow cruiser. It would have been a bit of a... It would have been a good fight. So it was very, like, frustrating for me off the back end of that. I think
post-fight, Jai has also spoken and said, like, he respects your thing.
Yeah,
you know, in hindsight, obviously, it's easy to say after the performance that he puts on, but I think he's given you a lot of props post that fight. So obviously you lose first round.
Yeah.
When do you recover from that mentally? I feel like I know when you did, but I want to hear it from you.
I don't know, because like, when was that? That was my first fight where I'm like, raw.
And your first loss.
My first fight, but where I'm like, the next day, I'm calm. Like, even in the hotel room, man's calm. Which is how I knew it was a shot, because it's like, I didn't have no bruising. I didn't have no pain. Like, I was in the hotel with Ginger Joe, shout out. Josh, my brother, like, and I was kind of like watching it, kind of like laughing. So like, I had accepted it, but like, I was still in a bit of shock. This is the honest truth, because I did not expect to get stopped like that. If there's anything with me, it's not a good thing in boxing. You know, the chin that is never hit is the one that is the best. But like, I thought I ain't gonna get knocked out. Like, Opetaia has never knocked anybody out with one punch. Not with one punch. With a cluster of punches.
Various punches, yeah.
One of the best combination punches out there in terms of his accuracy and his power. He's not like Floyd. Like, Floyd hit you with picks, but like
picks.
Opetaia hit you with 4 or 5 power shots, bro.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And he might not knock you out, but like Richard Riakporhe, 1 shot later. Lawrence Okoli, 1 shot later. So I didn't even anticipate that. So I was in a bit of shock for a while. But in terms of like, when I recovered, in the sense of like, I don't know, like what you're referring to, but that was December 23rd, bro. New Year's Eve, I'm in the gym, bro. Like, training, I want to go again, if that makes sense. So I wasn't like out of the gym. I wasn't like, you know, Martin was like, my manager, Martin, I'm a trainer. He's like, what do you want to do now? Like, he's asking me this on Christmas Eve. I'm like, bro, I want to get out there. I'm hashtag the rebuild and like redemption and these things.
Straight. That's what I want to hear.
Because I still feel like,
yeah.
Not I'm a novice, but I'm getting going. I'm still
getting going, bro. Yeah, you are. You're only 25.
You know like 21 fights at the time, like my whole life. So
100%.
It's just the frustration of like
the moment, just the moment.
Bro, if I went 8 rounds of him, then got knocked out in the 9th round, whatever, because I would have proved my thing in the 8th round where I'm at, but I didn't get to prove that. Credit to him, but yeah, I don't know. When do you think I recovered?
No, obviously you're a bit of a jokester. I was just thinking of that day when we're in the gym, and
which gym?
Was doing a little bit
Catford?
No.
Amigos,
and then you're like, hey, yo, Greenie, can you take a photo for me, please? And I'm like, yeah, cool. Like, he's in the ring, he's just had his little session. I'm thinking we're about to just take some normal photos, whatever. I turn around. I turn back, I see man on the floor, like, slumped, recreating the photo. I said, oh yeah, Ellis is back. Ellis is back today.
Yeah, nice. You got, bro, you got to, man. Like, you know what helped me? The fact that I've knocked people out in the first round, I've knocked people out in other rounds, I've won fights, now I've been knocked out. It's like, I've had 17 wins, bro. Do you know what I mean? If I had never achieved anything in boxing, and then got knocked out like that by anybody, I would have been like, oh my days. But like, you know, I know I can fight. I know I can go. I know I made a mistake. I know he capitalized on the mistake. I'm glad I went through that experience. I'm glad I've never conducted myself in a way where it's no humble pieting, if that makes sense. Apart from like the man then where we be joking on or off camera. But it's like, it is what it is. It's like, I've never like moved like a madman. I'm not shunning anybody, but like the way Errol Spence got beat by Crawford, the way Haney got beat by Garcia, I feel they are more damaging in the confidence
because of the build up to the fights, the way you go back and forth.
Like, man got hit with 1 shot, you got knocked down 3-4 times, like your face is bust up. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I'm at a weight class where it can happen. That's no excuse, but it's like, if I went in there and it's like, I've tried this against Opetaia, oh my days, it's not working. I've tried that against Opetaia, oh my days, it's not working. I've tried, like Canelo with Floyd. Canelo tried everything that night, nothing worked. Them ones can hit man's confidence, I would have felt. I don't have as many question marks on myself.
Can I think, but you know what I think it is when if I wrap that up for you, in my personal opinion, you could probably think different, but I personally think that you got an opportunity that was presented to you that you probably never thought that was gonna kind of get presented to you the way it did on the short notice. Right? That's a big thing. Who you was fighting, where you was going, that you have never been basically outside of York Hall. Much less talking about going Copper Box. We ain't done Wembley. We ain't done O2. We ain't done nothing at home. We're going straight up to one of the biggest, if not the biggest place for boxing ever. Now, ever. No, but ever.
Saying that, I believe. No, not even I believe. This is why man's doing it.
No,
do you know what I mean? I'm not on a sob story like, right, if you see where man come from and where I ended up in Saudi, I never played any of that. Obviously, I'm very thankful and grateful to God or whatever for where I am. But like, man want to be there, bro. Man's a winner. Do you feel me? I want to compete with these guys. And if I'm not on that level, go back to the drawing board and get back on that level. Do you know what I mean? So it is a good story where I've come, and I'm sure it can inspire other people from where we're from and that get into boxing late and whatnot. But at the same time, like, I lost the fight. I didn't want to lose. I didn't go there to lose. I didn't go there to get paid. We see this in my next fight. Like, a lot of people saying online, oh, he's going there to get paid. Obviously, I want to get paid.
Oh, 100%.
Like, I ain't getting not even half to fight for the British title in Leeds against Cheavon Clarke. Not even half, bro. And it's like, I'm taking the fight.
Yeah.
I don't have to take the fight. I could easily go back into a fight a journeyman.
Know my worth situation after that. You know, once you get paid.
Do that. Do you know what I mean? And no one's expecting me to like take this fight, if that makes sense. I could easily go back and have an easy fight, bro. I'm a friend. I got easy.
No, you're not built like that. You're not built like that. But again, going back to what I was saying, I think it's just the whole fact that the opportunity that was presented, and then you took it because you're a man that will take any opportunity, like the Burton, anything that's presented to you. Because I think you know that your boxing career has been like not gonna say that, but was not short-lived, but it had a short window still. Short window just because of where you started, right? And amateur. So
a lot of fighters have like turned down fights, not just Opetaia, not just cruiserweight. I'm just talking all over the place. Like any weights, different times. I've never had the opportunity to turn down a fight. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know there are certain men that I've turned down world title fights because they have other options, other places to go. I've never been in a position ever to turn down any fight. If it's £2,000, all right, I'll take it. Am I getting paid? All right, I got to take it. Am I getting 40 at the Boxer? Am I getting 100? Am I getting 500? Am I getting 600? Like, man, take it. Where is it? Oh, I'm on the away side. I got to take it. Like, I'm only now am I in a position where it's like I can, like you say, negotiate or does this make sense for me? But because of like man's age, bro, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, because of my age, I don't have the liberty to. That's really. What I'm saying. The window is short, bro.
The window's short.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if I'm 22, it's different, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
If I'm 22, it's different, bro. Like, look at Devin Haney. He can have like 3 comeback fights. He's that young.
Yeah, facts, not fiction, bro.
Or he can chill for 3 years and come back. And come back. So whereas me, I don't have that thing, and I'm secure financially, but like I still got a few more years, bro.
Oh, you know whoa! You're
reality, I'm 30. I'm 31. By the time I'm 35, man needs to be out, bro. Do you know what I mean? So I got to make things happen, and that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
No, I definitely respect that. Definitely respect that.
Just before you go and look at the Cheavon Clarke fight, I just want to hear what your thoughts are on what Saudi has done for boxing. Turkey El Sheikh, obviously, you've met the man, you've been in his house, etc. What do you think is the beauty of what they've done for boxing?
I think 2 things. Yeah, firstly, the fans, including myself, boxing fans and boxing fans like yourself, are getting to witness these massive events, you know. So on my card, we just talk about my card. To have AJ and Wilder on the same show, crazy. Like, there's no more like, oh, no value for money anymore. That's worth £25 or whatever pay-per-view is. You got them 2 on the card. You got Joseph Parker on the same show, bro. Yeah, like crazy. All of these fights, you got the Ring Magazine cruiserweight champion Jai Opetaia. Like all these guys on the same card. You got Bivol. Bro,
that's enough.
When I was sitting next to Bivol at the presser,
that's crazy.
I'm sitting next to a man who banged up Canelo.
I'm
like, raw, like, man sitting
that's
next to
realness.
Bivol was just on his phone, bro, at the presser, fam. I'm like, yo, like, you know what I mean? So anyway, having all them guys on the same show, it's like it's value for money, and it's like they're all in like 50-50 relatively good fights. You know, my fight on paper wasn't a 50-50 fight because I'm in with the Ring magazine, but I'm still 17-0 and undefeated.
100.
Lyndon Arthur, again, it wasn't a 50-50 fight, but Lyndon Arthur's no joke.
Oh, we know that.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Parker and Wilder, all these fights. It was so. I think it's what the fans wanted. All these big fights. That's what the fans want. You know. So I think it's all positive, bro. Especially now that it's not just like we spoke about off camera the other day. Like it's not just exclusive to Saudi anymore. Like they're doing Saudi Riyadh season, Saudi shows by His Excellency in America. You know, there's a encouragement to have like another 5v5 in England. Kind of under the banner of
the whole Saudi name.
And I think like even I got friends that are doing small promotions, shout out TN14, even they're doing like a 10v10 or a 5v5 at the O2. And you're having like guys who've had like 3 fights, 3-0, fighting other 2-0, 3-0. That's what you want. Whereas normally you have like the first 12 fights, 10 fights, you're just fighting journeymen. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's spiraled down and
do you think that's going to allow people to lose? And now, you know, boxing
Sorry,
had that.
You know how I said 2 points?
Is that the second one? I can read you. I got you, my boy.
I think now that you've got like, for example, Wilder losing to Parker. And now Wilder's back.
Yeah. Straight away, they promoted Eddie Hearn's re-promoted him like he's never, like he's a problem.
That's how it should be because it's, you know, it's competition, and I think going back to MMA, like guys losing MMA,
and it's fine,
and guys
and it's fine.
It's
normalized.
I feel there's a middle ground though with it, because I feel at the same time you do, in certain aspects, need journeymen and people who may not be of your level to build your confidence back up. In certain situations, like I don't know, like Joshua. Has had a few knockbacks, but he needed certain fights to.
What I'll say to that is that like that avenue or that platform in boxing has never not been there. That's always been there. So when Ali came back after his 3 years off, when Mike Tyson came back from going jail, them man, even though they're elite level fighters, they had a platform where if they wanted to, if they needed to, like I said, Devin Haney can do it as well, can come back in a comeback fight or a rebuild fight. That avenue has always been there throughout history. But what platform hasn't been there is the one we have now, where it's like we've got like, you know, Usyk and flipping Fury, bro. Like
booked twice already.
Do you know what I mean? And then like you've got AJ and Wilder, you've got Wilder and Parker, you've got, you know, we haven't always had this stiff level of competition. We've got Bivol and Beterbiev, bro. Like we haven't always had that. So the rebuild thing will always be there. I'm not saying all undefeated fighters are always going to fight each other and there's not going to be learning and progressive kind of learning fights for guys, but I'm just saying at least like it's having a positive influence on fighters, if that makes sense.
Of
like,
course.
Do you know what I mean? Fighting other big
that was
fights.
A bit of the Mayweather effect though, wasn't it? Like where you have to protect
Mayweather had that. Mayweather called that.
Before him, you didn't really have to.
It's sad, but not sad, but like, you know, you got Joe Kawasaki undefeated. You got many undefeated guys, bro. But like, the way that Floyd played it and the platform,
he was a superstar. He was a superstar. He created a superstar. He created a superstar.
He was beyond superstar.
But I think obviously nobody wants to lose, and it's not good to lose. But I think now that fighters are losing against maybe fighters that they should lose against, should I say, or where it's safe for them to lose, and they're getting paid as they should. Guys are more good. Like the Errol Spence, Terence Crawford thing, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia. It doesn't really matter who wins or loses because they're making what they should make now. Do you know what I mean?
But that's at the elite level. Even like if you look a level down, and it's not that it's a level down.
Kind of like Buatsi and Dan Aziz.
I was gonna say like you look at what Dan Aziz has come out like. He's lost against Buatsi. He's talking about maybe fighting in the North or whatever.
That's
you know that's proper. Doesn't matter. That's
proper.
Not worried about the loss yourself going in there with Jai Opetaia, knowing it's a tough fight. Didn't matter about the loss. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the benefit of Saudi for sure.
Every career is going to be, you know, I do like just going back on the Errol Spence thing. He lost to Crawford very, very bad. I don't really know if he won a round. It's a bit, you know, and he might potentially be going up in weight. There's two things that you're playing with: a really bad loss, like a really, really bad loss, inactivity in the ring, and then what was the third point? Just the fact that he's going up in weight. He might want to have a somewhat rebuild fight. You know.
Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, I see that. All these fights. So, you know, but I don't think there's many cons to what's going on with with the Saudi thing. Yeah.
Okay, so back to you.
Yeah.
Your next fight.
Yeah.
Tell the people. Tell the people.
Cheavon Clarke, Leeds, May 25th, fighting for the British Cruiser. That Isaac Chamberlain has relinquished.
And also, you're not fighting at York Hall.
Yeah. The journey continues.
This is a. I mean, it's going to be a packed out stadium.
Yeah.
It's going to be this is again going to be a different experience for
Yeah.
you. Even you've just come off fighting on the biggest card in the last 20 years, and now you're going on to another big card, which is the rematch between Catchwell and Taylor. Where are you at with this? Like,
I'm happy it's not a southpaw. Like, that's my main thing. Do you know what I mean? This is like actually a very, very good fight. Like, me and Chev are like evenly matched, bro. Like, this is a good fight. Stylistically, I believe it will be a very good fight. I know Chev, do you know what I mean? I know his team. Like, his coach was my old amateur coach. Do you know what I mean? So like, it's a good fight. I respect Chev. Obviously, I've got all that experience. Not that I ever struggled with this side of things, but like the whole big show thing and cameras and lights and action, it doesn't get any bigger than where I was. So it's like, it's easier. I'm in a similar situation because in boxing, you're always, you know, you're only as good as your last fight. And when you come off a bad loss like that, it's like there's not gonna be much expectation on me, if that makes sense. I feel like people in boxing might kind of know that like, this is a good fight though. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is Chev's proper. I'm a test for him, if that makes sense. I don't want to be a gatekeeper in boxing. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I win this or when I win this protects me from becoming a gatekeeper, bro. Because at the moment it's like, oh, he fought Opetaia. Let's see how I can do with him. Do you feel me? That's kind of the narrative. Like, man's going on to an away show, you know.
So there is some type of expectation in some way then, even off of because of who you fought in your last fight, of name like value and who you are.
It's out there, but it's like in terms of like, if I'm the favourite, I think closer to the fight, I don't think I'll be the favourite. Do you understand? Because of what has gone on and how Chev has been conducting himself and handling business. So but no, I'm looking forward to it like a lot more because I've been out of the ring since December, end of December. Like, I've been in the gym since like mid-January, like kind of itching to go, kind of redeem myself and kind of, you know, get back to winning ways, if that makes sense. If my defeat was like, and this is just me being transparent, if I left with bare question marks like, right, like, can I do it? Am I about this thing? I would have like been like, oh, you know what, Martin, let's have a rebuild fight. But like, the way I lost,
you knew
I actually don't have that
problem,
and that's just real, bro. You know, I don't even think it's who I am as a person. I think it's just the way I lost and who I lost to. It's like, I just feel like I'm back in the gym. I'm doing everything I've always done before, bro. Like, I still feel I'm progressing. Do you know what I mean? As I've always been progressing in between my fights. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this one. And this, I feel like if I did have a rebuild fight, like a 6-round or an 8-round against a journeyman, I just don't know what I get from that. Whereas this, I can get my teeth in this, bro. This is British title. This is the same as not the same, but like, I was fighting Ring Magazine, but it's like, being a British champion, it's big, bro. It's still big, bro. Do you know what I mean? It's something that I haven't done, bro. It's massive.
Boxing's a British sport, you know.
Bro,
don't forget, it went to America, but it's a big Britain Olympian thing, man.
It's a guy who's undefeated on job right now, you know. So yeah, man.
On the back of the conversation about Saudi and where boxing is with Saudi, how damaging are the current drug episodes that we have, where we're even a bit unclear as to whether the fighters have actually taken something or not? I mean, Conor Ben was given an excuse with the eggs, which he then retracted, and now he's again banned. Ryan Garcia was allegedly accused of taking something
positive
in an A and B sample, and then all of a sudden now it's negative and people are resigning from their roles.
I think the Ryan Garcia one is the most, the newest one, in the sense of like, I've never heard a guy test for something, then it's like, oh no, it's not something.
Yeah.
Excuse me. The Canelo thing was obviously he tested for the meat, but then it was like, oh, but for you know, he tested for something, but then it turned out to
be the meat in the meat.
Them things are cool, you know. Oh, you test for something, but it was over a counter. Cool, when I say they're cool, they're explainable. The Ryan Garcia thing, what you told me the other day, like he tested, but all of a sudden, I don't know what, like
Oxygen.
someone's
Oxygen, right?
someone's left.
Something like
No,
that.
there
Or
was
someone's-
there was
someone-
two things.
Someone's left their
Someone's
job,
left their
or
role, yeah, and then the day after they come back and say it was all negative.
like a little bit of a conspiracy
See,
thing.
yeah.
The meat thing isn't a conspiracy thing. The Dylan White wasn't a conspiracy thing.
the meetings, hella conspiracy.
Whoever
bro.
you think,
What? The Canelo thing?
I don't
Of
think it
course.
was-
What?
fam,
Bro,
compared to the
you
Ryan
understand-
thing, compared to
Bro.
the Ryan thing, the conspiracy is weird, bro.
No,
But have you
see-
heard of fighters getting caught with meat eating issues?
Yeah, anyone?
It was
Argentinians.
Tyrannical.
I've
but
heard something
and
about the
Mexican.
Mexican meat does.
It's a bit
have-
funny,
because of
yeah.
how they feed their
Cows.
cows.
They
The
ingest the cows with
Arthur
steroids.
Beterbiev thing, he tested for higher levels of testosterone. You know, you can test from higher levels of testosterone if the previous day you're doing like a heavy squat workout.
Yeah, I heard.
Stuff
I
like
heard.
that. So it's like,
Inside your
it's
leg.
not a
his thing as well at
conspiracy.
39, It's a
Yeah.
conspiracy, bro.
I don't think it's a conspiracy.
Of course it
you
is.
know.
Of
Compared
course
to
it
the
is.
Ryan thing. How?
No, the Ryan
The
thing.
Ryan
is-
thing
the
don't
Ryan
even
thing
make
is the biggest
sense, bro.
conspiracy.
Yeah, the Ryan
Man took a
don't
photo with
make
Donald
sense.
Trump.
I don't think it's a
Man took a
cons-
photo with your guy. Next thing you know, he's
Trump.
yeah, bro.
Taking drugs.
I think that compared to the other things, the Conor Ben one, I don't know much about in the sense of I just can't keep up with it no more. I thought
Yeah.
he was cleared.
Where he's
I
now
see
not.
something else saying he's suspended.
He's been
Suspended
resuspended.
by-
It's unlikely he's
suspended
ever
by
gonna fight
who?
British
what?
Border Boxing Control.
I thought he was already suspended
No,
by the
'cause
What?
they
He
had-
said
they
that he
had-
can never
they
fight
had
again.
They had the hearing. So remember that they
No, but while he was fighting in America,
yeah.
he wasn't allowed to fight in England. That's why he
Yeah,
was fighting in
yeah,
America.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
he was on
But
pause or it was,
It
a
on
trial
pause
thing,
until the trial transpires, and obviously now the trial has happened.
so
and now
they're
he's-
saying he
This-
can't fight in
in
England.
England at all.
At the moment, he won't fight in Britain.
But that was
he
the
can't
same.
get a
That was the
British
same as
Border Boxing
before.
Control.
That was the same as
Yeah,
before.
yeah, it was the same as before, but
before.
obviously now it's just.
I find that one
officialised.
like I don't know. Like one thing I would say about Conor Ben's thing is it's been a lot more public than anything else.
Yeah.
Considering he's a big name, but like Canelo's tested positive.
It was quiet.
Like
It was
slightly quiet, bro.
Yeah, it was. Canelo's
6
thing
months
wasn't that
off.
big.
Compared to this,
Yeah, it was. Canelo's thing got shut out the
Because bro,
window.
what's
It's
6
true.
months?
It's
Yeah,
true.
that's
Brothers
a-
fight
it's a break.
twice a year, if that. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Dillian White's thing was
That one was
Which one?
weird.
Dillian White.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Which one? Well, this even the second one. Even this when you think forget the first one. That's
This is
over and
the
done
third
with.
one.
Just the fact that there's been
This
3.
is the third
Yeah.
I thought, sick,
Just the
damn.
fact that there's been
Dillian.
3.
Third one,
This is
bro.
my opinion though on the drugs thing. Shane was saying about my athletics background, you know about it as well. In athletics, I think drugs play a much bigger role.
Mhm.
Like if a man is, especially in sprints, you know,
Yeah.
because it's all
Mhm.
physical, you know.
bruv, yeah.
In boxing, there's so much that's about technique, and some guys are so much stronger and more powerful than other guys, and so much fitter. But it's without drugs, it still doesn't mean anything. They still get knocked out, or they still don't have the skill.
The
Do
skill,
you know what I
the
mean?
technique,
So they
yeah.
might as well be on drugs.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, how much stronger is Ngannou than AJ? Like physically, a lot stronger, bro. Do you know what I mean? Like, but it doesn't
It
matter.
showed because
So
he got touched. Yeah.
I feel like I've never really understood how much
It
benefit
benefits
there
you.
is.
It benefits you in
Yeah,
there.
even if you take a substance that like prolongs lactic acid, so you can go for longer.
Viagra.
If you have inefficient boxing
He loves this
technique,
Viagra thing, bro.
No, but it's true. Like, just tell you, just sorry to cut you, but I told these guys last time I watched Shannon and Chad, and they talk. Chad, he's a wide receiver. He used to talk about taking half a pill of Viagra to circulate your blood flow. It does because it gets your legs,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Remember, it's your
Blood flow,
it's your
innit?
blood
Yeah.
flow, but all around your legs, and it gets your legs moving. So
yeah, there's other ways.
it's true.
To do it, though.
He said that's what he done.
Yeah.
That's what Chad also
But,
calls him.
again, if you take a guy who is not going to get tired as quickly because he's taken something that prolongs lactic acid in his body,
Yeah.
but he has inefficient technique or he's not relaxed, like he's gonna get tired.
Yeah.
because he's not relaxed
He's
or
not
his technique.
relaxed,
So
yeah.
I don't know,
He's
like
so
fighters are just like, it's a shame, but it's not new to sport. It's definitely not new to it's definitely like I've come from an athletic background, so
How much time do you get
tracking-
tested before a
in
fight
tracking-
and then after? How does it work?
in
quickly?
boxing?
Yeah, for you, even for you on your level.
When I fought Opetaia, when I fought Hosea, I got tested once just after. That's the WBO.
But you didn't get tested before.
I got tested before but the day before. No, I got tested before the fight in the changing room.
Day of.
Then I got the day off. Sorry, yeah. But with the Opetaia fight, I was getting tested randomly
Yeah,
throughout the 5 weeks.
Yeah, because the day before you could.
But there's different governing bodies that do
Right,
things differently.
definitely.
You know what I mean?
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just how
So
it
it's
is.
just one of them ones.
So, but yeah, I don't know. Like, people are always doing something, and this
Yeah.
is how it goes. But again, from my background in track and field and athletics, like, it's not as important in
Actual boxing.
in my opinion. Yeah,
No, I hear you on that.
that's it. Yeah.
So,
So yeah, man.
Mr. Zorro, yourself, we've got Zorro versus Clarke coming up. in, is it 2 weeks time?
Yeah.
20. Yeah, it is. It's the 25th, right?
Yeah.
Of this month, May. And it's going to be a very interesting fight. Guys, do not miss it. It's going to be in Leeds.
What do you think about the fight?
What do we think about the fight?
Yeah, I know you ain't obviously discussed it kind of thing, but...
we're going to discuss it obviously coming up closer to the time. But me personally, I was speaking to Greenie about this prior. Greenie always speak about your fights in secret with the phone, innit? So, but I always say to Greenie all the time, like, yeah, this is a fight I personally think that you can get done. I'm gonna if I'm sitting here being like how I analyze fights all the time doing for UFC, personally I can see you. Anyone can get knocked out, but I see this going the distance, and I see you just outworking him. I see you being more of the smarter, efficient fighter, and that's just the way I see that fight going. I still think this is a fight that is good for both of you at this time. Sure. It is one of those fights good for both of you. You both can gain something from this fight, I believe. So I think it's good. And I can't wait to actually just literally see you get back in there and put on a performance that we know you can put. Like, forget the fight. We know what you can do in there. We've seen it many times. So yeah, that's my personal opinion. What's yours?
Yeah, man, I guess you just come in there with sharing the square circle with the best in your division. Someone who, you know, Cheavon Clarke is with the zone, he's with Matchroom, and they didn't want to put him in there, and I don't think they ever will. So I think you can hold that as something to hold on to. I know it never went well last time out, but this is a completely different fight. The level's completely different. I think his style suits yours down to the ground. So yeah, I'm expecting a dub.
Always. Rims?
Yeah. No, you touched on most of the points still.
Yeah,
but
I thought so, yeah.
I'd say...
No, they did though, yeah, there's not much.
I would say I'm just want to see, like, obviously, from the last fight to this fight, where you're at. Because it's all good. Saying training, boom, I'm good.
Right,
but when you're actually there under the lights... and things are going right or things aren't going right. How are you gonna feel? So just to see where you're at, and if you've been training, so obviously there's improvements, but see those in the fight as well. So
no, I hear that. That's love.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for having me on, man.
No, man, always great. And don't forget to come back on after the fight, because after that dub, you need to bring the belt back in here, and show the world what's going on. So,
is your European on the line or not?
So no, my European is not on the line, and his IBF International is not on the line either. It would be good if it was, because I think when Fabio Wardley and David Adelaide fought each other, there was like,
they collabed all the belts.
There was the British, but then they put his belt
and his belt, and they collabed.
So man had like 4 belts.
It's hard. I
want to kind of do that, but you know what? It's their show. It's their thing. I think. I'll just say this. I just feel like they've made a mistake by picking me, because I think how my mind happened to have gone after the Opetaia fight, it's gone the completely opposite way as how it should have gone, like, or how they think it should have gone or could have gone. Because I didn't need to take this fight, bro. If I didn't want to, there's no...
Your confidence is there. I can see it.
Like, do you know what I mean?
You're basically telling the world, everyone says after my fight, you're supposed to go into a hole and be depressed. He's on the opposite end of the spectrum, people.
Question yourself and stuff like this. But
he's on the opposite end, and I feel like,
why it's gone like that, I'll be honest, I don't know. It's not something that I have forced on or tried to, like, you know, positive affirmation myself into this position. It's just been one of them ones, bro. Do you know what I mean? It's just been one of them ones, so I'm very much looking forward. I look forward to this more than any other fight, bro.
I hate you.
Do you know what I mean, bro? Like, I'm coming off a loss, bro. Like even though I'm saying Devin Haney and Errol Spence, like, it's a very bad way to lose. In terms of, like, when you look on BoxTrack, first round KO, like, there's no worse way to lose, bro. Don't matter who you lose against. There's no worse way to lose. Like, man, them cover MMA and that. When you see a first round knockout, you're like, oh my days. Like, when you see how AJ did thing, you're like, oh my days. There's no worse way to lose. So it's like, I just need to get back, bro. Like, that's my thing. Do you know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to it still.
Road to Jai Opetaia too.
You know
again? Yeah, man. Bro, I've got to see him again, bro.
Yeah, respect
Even
that.
if I get knocked out in the second round.
Fuck it, I respect it.
I gotta see
him again. You see that?
Whenever we spar, whenever we fight, I gotta see him, bro.
Hey, Jai, where you at, bro?
Just for myself, like.
That's the boys from South London for you. We got that get back. We gotta get our get backs, man. We got if we lose.
But like this time, you know, in all seriousness, I want to earn it this time. I don't want it to be on the back of, like, Someone
you
else
filling
pulling
in
out.
or whatever
Yeah,
like
But
that.
you
Yeah,
would earn that, man. Other people that
I know what
want to
you mean, but like
I'm
now
saying
I
he
want
was
it to be a
next up
thing
there.
where it's like
put in the work.
I don't want to have to
Soon.
call him
Yeah.
out to make it. I just want it to be like, right, he's number one.
I'm
One
challenger,
time.
Yo,
yeah.
Jai, where you
Yeah,
at, bro?
that, do you know what I mean? So,
Where you
yeah,
at,
man.
bro?
But
I
no,
respect the
respect to
hustle.
Opetaia. Respect
Yeah.
to
Every
Opetaia for
time.
sure.
And respect to yourself, man. Thanks
Yeah,
for
man.
coming down doing this interview.
Thank you,
You
man.
know the one and only El Zorro, Kombat Kingz here. We are signing out, and we will see you on the back. Oh, the return of Ellis Zorro.
Love.
You know.
You gotta come out with a cape this time.
No, man. You know what? I'm actually coming out in the same thing that I wore in Saudi.
Cold.
Oh,
That's the
is it?
redemption, fam.
The
Yeah,
redemption.
yeah, yeah.
I
Come
feel
out to
that.
redemption,
I
son.
respect it.
I shouldn't.
Redemption.
No, I shouldn't. I
Yeah,
might do that
they
still.
might
Yeah, I might do
yeah.
that still.
I respect that.
All right, love, man.
Love, man. Guys, we are out. Love.
Easy.
Love.